Alright, it's Friday, y'all. I'm about to pick my little princess up and have an amazing weekend as usual. I just got the phone with my buddy and he's feeling a little depressed, right? We're talking about it, we're talking about depression and down and out, whatever. And life happens, I get it. But here's my thing. I gave him the best advice I can give him, and I wanted to just share some advice here. If you like the video, you know what to do. Leave a comment, subscribe, share it. But listen, if anybody out there is confronting this depression and dealing with depression or anything like that, I'm gonna give you the same advice that I just gave a buddy of mine. Everything, whatever makes you depressed, you got to always keep in mind, whatever it is you're depressed about, one day you're gonna die and leave it behind. I know it sounds very, very harsh, but life is harsh, and you have to have harsh truths within your mind. That's a harsh truth you got to keep in your mind. In other words, the Latin term is memento mori. Memento mori means remember the day of your death. In other words, remember your mortality. It's a healthy way to think. It's mentally healthy. It's not morbid. Like I said, it's not dismal. It's not gloomy. It's not pessimistic. It could be interpreted that way, but that's through an untrained mind. A trained mind knows that is a healthy, mentally healthy and sound way to think. Why? Because whatever comes your way in life to depress you, and you look at it and you say that to whatever that issue is, hey, listen, one day I'm not going to be here, and none of this will matter. When you think like that, what you're doing is you're removing the sting and the power from depression. In other words, you're giving depression no space to grow. Depression is like a seed, and it needs good soil to grow. And what you're doing is you're getting rid of the soil. So when the seed of depression lands, there's just dry ground. There's no fertility. There's no soil. So it can't grow. When you confront whatever the stimulant or the activity or the action or whatever happens in life that brings on depression, when you confront it and meet it face to face with, hey, at some point, I'm going to expire from this life. And at my expiration, none of this will matter. Immediately when you change, you actually change and shift the climate in your mind. You change the climate. You're shifting the paradigm in your mind. And depression has no ground, no root, no place to take root. And what happens now, instead of feeling depressed, you'll feel a little down about the situation. You'll feel down. You might feel a little sad. Somebody dies, or you go through a divorce, a breakup. You lost a house in the divorce proceedings. You lost assets in the divorce proceedings. Whatever it is that's causing the depression, you'll feel a little down, because I don't want to dehumanize you, right? I'm not sitting here high and mighty as if I don't have down days. There's days where I feel sad, absolutely. There's days where I feel down and out, absolutely. But there's a distinction between feeling a little down. There's a distinction between that and being medically diagnosed as depressed, right? There's a difference. There's a night and day difference. There's days where I don't feel like going to the gym. I'm just not mentally. I had a long day. I'm stressed out. I don't feel like going. I force myself to go, but that don't mean I feel like going. There's days where I don't feel like getting out of bed. I force myself out of the bed, but there's days where I feel like I don't feel like getting out. There's days where, again, I'm an avid runner. I like to jog. There's days I don't feel like running, right? And I don't run. The point I'm making is it's okay to have down days. You're a human being. It's natural. It's organic. It's actually healthy, contrary to what you might believe. It's healthy to have down days. Why? Because if you didn't have down days, you would not know what your up days are, right? So your down days allow you to appreciate your up days, right? So it's healthy to be balanced in life, right? But it's not, like I said, it's not healthy to be medically depressed, or to be what I call depression is having a down day turn into a down week turn into 2 down weeks, 3 down weeks. You see my point? Now you're just down for months. That's depression. That's not okay, right? So I just, my advice to my buddy is, look, whatever you're going through, whatever is causing the depression, just keep in mind that this life is transitory. And by that, I mean you're here today, gone tomorrow. We're just passing through. And, we're saturated with materialism. I get it. And we all want more, right? I get it. But what we must always remember is the same material that we're working ourselves up about. We can't take it with us. And I know it's a cliche, but sometimes we need to remember that none of this stuff you can take with you. The things that you hold dear, the things that's most important to you, your children, doesn't matter. None of it comes with us, right? So whatever it's causing your depression, the stimulant, right, the influence, whatever it is, you have to confront it with the idea that, hey, at some point, I'm going to leave you here. You know what I'm saying? This house that I'm stressed out about that's causing me depression, I will expire and somebody else is going to live in it. This job, I will expire and someone else will be occupying the same office space, right? The wife, I will expire and someone else will be sleeping in her bed, right? You have to have these harsh, truthful conversations with yourself to, again, remove the sting and the power from life depression. Because here's the reality. Life will test you. Oh, it will test you. Life is going to test the hell out of you. And you will take some serious hits in life. And you will take some big, I mean, huge L's in life. I'm speaking from experience. I've taken a lot. To be honest with you, even now as I'm speaking about it, I need a W. I'm in desperate need of a win. I've been taking a lot of L's, you know, and even now as I'm talking, it's starting to dawn on me like, sheesh, I need a W, right? I'm starting to feel a little depression trying to creep in me right now. Now that I'm talking about it, I need a W. So you will take L's, but remember this: it's not the L's that you're going to take. It's more so it's not what happens to you, it's how you deal with it. It's how you cope, right? It's how you handle it. It's how you deal with the situation. It's not what happens to you. It's how you deal with what's happening to you. That's really the difference. That's the difference maker, right? So, like I said, my advice is if you are, you know, encountering any kind of depression or anything like that, I'm not going to tell you, look, you know, think positive and, you know, go find something to do. And that's all good and dandy. But the truth is, you got to face it. You know, if people tell you go find something to do positive, go hang out with friends, to me that's not good advice, because that's just distracting yourself from the depression. I get it. I know people do it. You know, a girl breaks up with you, go find another girl. I get it, right? I get it. But again, like I said, I just don't think that's the best way to handle it. I think the best way to handle it and to overcome whatever's depressing you is to face it head on, to confront it, look it in its eyes, so to speak, and you have to be able to, you know, have a conversation with yourself. Like, look, you know, talk to the situation if you must, within your own head. You know, look, at some point I will expire and none of this will matter. None of this will matter, right? I want, at some point I'm going to die and nothing will matter. And you'll be surprised, I'm telling you right now, that right there for me, I can't speak for no one else, but for me that is a great panacea. It is a great end-all be-all cure, because it does work for me. I can't speak for nobody else, but I know, like, if I ever feel like, you know, when I'm getting, life is tearing me up and I'm going through whatever I'm going through, I always keep that in my mind, like memento mori, you know, I'm immortal. And at some point, you know, mortality will, you know, I will die, I will expire. So if that's a fact, why am I letting this depress me so much, right? Why am I letting this situation steal my peace, steal my sanity, right? So that's, you know, to me, that's a healthy way of dealing with it. Don't distract yourself. Don't say, hey, I'm gonna go hang out with friends, I'm gonna go to the bar, I'm gonna go to this girl or that girl, because the problem with that is, if you go hang out with friends to overcome the depression, whatever it is that's causing the depression, those friends are not going to be there 24/7, right? So you're avoiding an inevitability, because at some point you have to come back to face whatever it is you're avoiding, right? The distraction that you're using, whether it's a friend, a female, a bottle of liquor, some drugs, whatever you're using to distract yourself, at some point that drug's gonna wear off. Those friends are gonna be gone. That girl is no longer gonna be there. That bar is gonna close. And at some point you're gonna have to sit with yourself and face and deal with that stimulant, whatever it is that's causing the depression. So that's why, to me, I just think distracting yourself is a terrible strategy and method. I know a lot of people do it, but it's not healthy. I don't think so. Again, my number one advice to you is to confront the situation within yourself and remind yourself that, hey, I'm immortal, and, you know, at one point I'm going to be gone, and none of this will matter. So I'm not going to allow you to depress me. And again, by doing that, you're removing the soil in your mind for the seeds of depression to grow. And seeds can't grow where there's no soil. So remove the soil. Don't give it any space in your mind to grow. Right? Yeah, to me, I think that's a healthy way. And like I said, if you have down days, it's okay. I'm not dehumanizing you. You are entitled to have your down days and feel a little, you know, screwed up, whatever. You know, but yeah, life, like I said, man, life is interesting. Life is, you know, as I get older in age, and life is not, it's not an easy thing, right? It's not. Life is complex, it's complicated, and you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. I've made a ton of mistakes, right? I've made some of the biggest mistakes. But here's what I learned too, though, right? And I want to share this before I go. Mistakes that you make, here's how I've dealt with those. As long as I can walk, as long as I've been able to walk away from them, where I didn't end up in jail for taking nobody's life, and obviously nobody took my life, you know what I'm saying? To me, that's a win. When I think about a lot of my losses, a lot of my L's that I've taken, a lot of my L's came by means of relationships, because I was just an idiot, you know, whatever. I was desperate, right? I was, you know, whatever, right? A lot of my L's came from relationships, because I was a desperate soul. I was very needy, very clingy. I'm healed now, though, but I used to be. And when I look back at all the L's I've taken, something that God put in my heart is like, look, you didn't take an L because you walked away healthy. You walked away where nobody went to jail and nobody died. And anytime you can walk away from, you know, negative situations like that, where things could have went south, right? Let's not be naive. People could get hurt, right? Lives could be lost. You know, there's a lot of people sitting in prison, right? So as a result of bad relationships. So my thing is, whatever your mistakes are, as long as your mistake didn't cost you your freedom, right? You're now sitting in jail for 15, 20 years, life, whatever. As long as your mistakes, as long as you can come back from your mistakes, you're able to walk away, it's a win. You have to shift your paradigm, shift your way of thinking, shift your perspective, the way you see things. There are people who make mistakes that they can't come back from, right? If you interview a lot of prisoners, they'll tell you, you know, if I can go back and do things different, right? So there are mistakes that people made, and they're legitimate mistakes. They act in the heat of a moment, passion, whatever, right? They didn't, you know, they jumped the gun. They didn't really think. And, you know, if you talk to them now, I'm sure they would tell you, hey, if I can do things over, I'll do it different. So as long as the mistakes that you made, if you're here to listen to this video and you've made a lot of mistakes, and you're still wherever you are listening to this video, wherever you're sitting right now watching this video, if you're not sitting in prison watching this video, if you're free, you're home, you're at work, you're in your car, wherever you are, that means whatever mistakes you've made didn't cost you your freedom. They weren't mistakes that you can't come back from. Like I said, there are people who make mistakes where they cannot come back from. There's no recovery. There is no recovery. Zero. So as long as you're here, that means whatever mistakes you made, they weren't mistakes that you couldn't recover from. They're not unrecoverable, if that's a word, unrecoverable mistakes. And that's a win. That's a win. And I've learned that later, you know, in my latter years, in these years. I didn't learn it earlier, but I learned, thank God I learned that. Because a lot of times I used to feel real like, damn, you know, you feel like a loser, you feel like a failure, you feel like an idiot, you feel like a scumbag, whatever. And I've learned over the years, like, hey, whatever mistakes you made, you're able to come back from them, because they weren't mistakes that you can't come back from. So that's a win. That is a win. You have to learn to find the wins, find the W's in the mistakes, in the failure, in the loss. There's some W's there, and you have to find those W's to keep yourself going. And that was that's how it's so I guess I have a lot of W's, because I had a lot of losses, but and there were a lot of mistakes that I made. It was fully my responsibility, nobody else, totally me. Full accountability on my part. And like I said, I'm still here. Nobody went to jail. I didn't take anybody's life. Nobody took my life, right? Some egos and emotional damage, yes, sustained some of that. But all in all, and through, I was able to walk away from them. So I just want you to understand, the mistakes that you've made, as long as you walked away from them, they're W's, right? You didn't take anybody's life. Nobody took yours. You didn't end up in prison behind them. That's a W. You got to call it a W. When you think of the all the other possibilities and all the other outcomes and all the other what ifs that could have happened, all the other could haves, could have went this way, could have went that way, could have happened like this, could have happened like that. When you think about all the could haves and you're still here, it's a W, my friends. Till next time, if you like the video, you know what to do. Like I said, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Till next time, enjoy your weekends. Peace.